But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the house it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome at last to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. 0 drop frames, 4 bars on the bitrate. I think that it turns out that possibly the whole reason for all the problems I was having with this stream just now and the earlier stream this afternoon could have possibly just been resolved by unplugging my router and plugging it back in again. Why the fuck didn't I think of it then? But then that's the thing about streaming. Everything is computer. How's everybody doing? I've had quite a couple of weeks. As you know, I was participating in the online polyglot gathering last week, in addition to other shit that was going on over here. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but the polyglot gathering was amazing, as always. That is always a great event to go to, and I highly recommend it. Also, you may have noticed I'm now drawing a comic, apparently, which I hadn't actually expected to be doing, but I'm doing that now. You can find it on my stab sock. And let's see who's on their bullshit today. I'm really sorry for the delay. I just spent the last 20 minutes on the line to restream support because as far as I could tell, the problem had to be with them because my stream health was showing up as just fine when I was as far as restream, and then after that it went to shit. So yeah. But it turns out it was possibly something to do with my ISP. I was getting a ridiculously low upload speed, and I thought, why don't I just unplug my router and plug it back in again? And I did that. My upload speed went from 9 megabits per second to 99, which is a little bit more like what it's supposed to be. And if I had done that earlier, this wouldn't have happened. So let that be a lesson. It's never too late to turn it off and on again. Just turn something off and on again. Because when everything is computer, everything must be turned off and on again. Okay, where is my playlist window with the bullshit? Let's see. I think we might start out with a bit of Pim Tool. Democrats are calling for unaliving Elon Musk. Violent rhetoric, increasing civil war. Now, I mean, it's not just... See, for the longest time they were saying that the fact that when Nazis would go around, attacking people and shooting people, and people who don't like Nazis would say, it actually sucks that they're doing that they were increasing the threat of civil war. But now, according to Pim Tool, the Civil War is already here, and by having violent rhetoric in response to physical violence, the Civil War is increasing. Civil War is when rhetoric violent, apparently, according to Pim Tool. Because, and of course, Pim Tool would never engage in violent rhetoric or say, lionize a guy who's only supposed heroic act was that he strangled a poor person, a poor black man on the subway, or anything like that. He would never do something like that. But, okay, I gotta get my chat window where I can actually see it while this is on. Always on top. And c'est parti.
There's a tweet that's going around. It's from Maggie Moda. Viral tweets are now referring to plans to assassinate Elon Musk
in coded language. Wait, okay. The person who does it is gonna be mentioned in so many rap songs, my god. See, this is what, whoever the hell Maggie Moda is, for her, that's a plan. I would say that's just vaguely suggesting that obviously that it might actually not be undesirable if somebody did do so. But, yeah.
In coded language. And someone said the person who does it...
Well, and let's just remember, it's not at all clear. I mean, I don't know who the hell DSUS MF Nice is. I mean, we're just assuming that it is demusking the economy, removing that musky odor. Dubulay Bunu. But nobody, there's no Ibunu in here and nobody's dubuling anything. So, this could be absolutely nothing. In coded language. Yeah, right.
It's going to be mentioned in so many rap songs. Someone says, does what? And the response is 4 asterisks, it's 4 asterisks 3 times. Because everybody knows exactly what they're saying.
Really, it does everybody know, because I don't know who any of these fucking people are. But, I mean, if you're saying that we can just assume that Elon Musk is so hated that 3 random people on Twitter must be, if they say does it, that they must mean popping him? Then what you're admitting there, Tim, contrary, because Tim, he usually likes to pretend that his chud-ass viewers are the silent majority and everything like that, and actually they're the normal people. But if these 3 random people actually are in fact talking about what he thinks they're talking about, and you can just do this without ever once actually coming out and saying, and everybody knows, and everybody thinks, oh yeah, that would be kind of cool, actually, then what you're admitting is that everybody hates your dude. That's what that means. Everybody hates your boy. Hey, Riveroon.
Here's the thing. So do judges. These people are so stupid. They think the judge is going to be like, well, after seeing that message and taking an action and committing a crime, we can't prove any link to it because he used asterisks.
Well, literally, you would also notice that there are 3 different people in this exchange, and only one of them uses asterisks. And the thing about asterisks is, it's not actually, it could mean that. It could mean a lot of things. I mean, that... so he's just sort of assuming that that's what it means,
yeah.
And I'm sure the idea here, clearly the idea, you see, is that they're trying to fool a judge. Not they're trying to, let's remember that they're doing this on the platform that is owned. Well, hey, let's not tempt fate. I think everything looks okay. I don't know for a fact that everything is okay. But so far it seems to be doing what it's supposed to. Let's see, am I still getting 0 frame loss? 0 drop frames. 0 drop frames. Like, all this afternoon, I was getting 98% drop frames. So, like, could it possibly be, Tim, that the reason they're putting it this way is that the person, I mean, assuming that this is what they're talking about, which these are 3 random people, they could be talking about anything. We don't even know if they all know what the other is talking about. It's 3. I know nothing about these people. They might not even fucking know each other. But that, if it's that guy, they're talking about that guy happens to own the platform, and he happens to be kind of obsessed with what people say about him because he's a pathetic motherfucker. So I think maybe the idea is to avoid his fucking content moderators seeing it. If that's what it's about. Two black comedians who interview guests. I think they were on the Vice TV channel. Thank you for clearing that up. I had never seen any of them.
Yeah, judges won't do that. They're going to be like, we knew what you were intending to do.
Easily taken apart by anybody with common sense.
You mean sort of like that fucking outfit of yours? That's easily taken apart by... in fact, it would never be worn by anyone with common sense. Like, look at this shit.
Would actually be able to look at that and know what they're advocating for.
That's like a fucking American flag and Make America Great Again on what is supposed to be an imitation ceremonial headdress. That's like making a fucking yarmulke with a swastika on it.
And, I mean, these people believe that there's no truth but power, and so they apply that to every...
That there's no truth to... What does it mean that there's no truth to power? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Buddy, and everything, and that is, it shows in their tactics and the way that they have been. I mean, the violent riots around this country for the past, the decade at least have been because they believe that there's no truth.
This guy is so cogent. It's their tactics, you see. It's the stuff that they do. They
power, and so when Trump and Elon get into power, they think that they have to use their own and advocate for violence in order to get it done. You can see,
but there wasn't any actual advocacy going on. That's the thing. They were just remarking on the fact that if somebody did this thing, which they have very specifically not advocated, they will probably get in a lot of rap songs. And I think that is a fair assumption, actually. I mean, I think if, somebody... that guy, I think that probably, yes, they will get in rap songs. I don't know who he is, but I mean...
That the left lionizes Luigi Mangione. Bill Burr made a dumb remark about Mangione the other day.
What did he say, to free him?
Just said free Luigi, yeah.
I mean, how's that a dumb remark, though? I mean, you might disagree with it, but, actually, it seems like as a matter of law, there may in fact be good grounds to free him just because of the way the evidence was handled. Going on, Eric fucking Adams' bent ass, going on HBO with the chief of D's and waving around alleged evidence to the jury pool that the defense hasn't even been allowed to look at because the prosecution says they haven't had time. There are all sorts of reasons he might actually get free just as a matter of law. But, I mean, if you believe that Daniel Penny, the subway strangler, did nothing wrong and that it was wrong to prosecute him and it's good that he was acquitted, as this group of assholes does, how can you say it's dumb to think that, Luigi Mangione should either be freed because of the numerous procedural problems with the way that this has been handled, or because you don't think he did it, or because you don't think he did anything wrong. We're haggling over numbers here, surely. As a matter of principle, these guys already agree that, sometimes
He was complaining about rich people richer than Bill Burr, mind you, because Bill Burr's worth like 20 mil.
Oh.
But he was complaining about rich people, and then he threw in a free Luigi at the end of it, and it's like
That was a couple months ago, wasn't it, or like a month ago?
I
yeah,
just
it was
saw
a couple
today.
of months ago.
So he's just,
Did it again?
Yeah, it's the second time.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
I was just
That's
tweeting about it
crazy,
today.
dude. I mean, comedy's one thing.
Wow, yeah, that's so wild. Why is it that people are so pissed off at the rich? The world is working so fine, Moonlord. Everything's so great. No poverty. The healthcare system is just fucking chef's kiss. You know, the environment has just never been better. And, like, the society just looks like it's just moving from one grand golden age to the next. Like, why could anyone possibly be pissed off at the handful of rich shitheads who own more than half of everything there is?
But talking about freeing a is he convicted? Was he convicted? Is
No,
on
he
trial?
wasn't fucking convicted, you dickhead. He hasn't even been tried. They haven't even chosen a fucking jury. Has he been convicted? Motherfucker, like, where have you been, Moonlord? Maybe like cut down on the special K.
Oh, and I think there's good reason to believe he's not the guy.
Really?
Yeah, because we all said this before he got arrested, and then even a week after he got arrested, and then it just sort of became de facto that everyone just assumed he was the guy.
God, okay, worst person you know has an entirely valid point. I have been saying this, and I think anyone watching this will remember, like, when I've mentioned this. I've been very careful never to say Luigi's the guy because he's pleading not guilty. His lawyer says that she's never seen any evidence that actually links him to the scene. The whole connection to him, apart from being circumstantial, is based on a seriously tainted ID. And so, no, I don't assume it was him until I'm given a better reason than that. Like, they waved that fucking CCTV footage around at a Starbucks nearby in a city of millions of a guy similarly dressed to the guy that you see on the film but whose face you can't see. Yeah, no, I mean, what he just said there is entirely valid. I will have to give that to him.
And I'm like, guys, he's wearing a different jacket with a different backpack than the guy in the video shooting the CEO. And you have...
you can't tell that. The video is grainy and blurry as hell. It's really bad quality video. That's part of the reason the ID sucks. That's part of the reason that ID should totally be thrown out and anything that was derived from it.
What we refer to in the Minority Report sense, an orgy of evidence when they found him. Which is, here's a guy with a backpack with the motive and the weapon and like...
Motherfucker, everybody's got the motive. The reason that all of the fucking right-wing chudosphere has been just completely bowled over by their viewers saying, you guys have the wrong end of it. Actually, whoever did it is kind of based, actually, because fuck these insurance CEOs. I can't get healthcare either, and I'm paying through the nose. You know... I mean, everybody's got motive. Like, if you look at the polls, like, literally, it's the most hated fucking industry in the country. Single-digit approval rating. The only industries that do worse than that in the U.S. are, like, literally the gun industry and big tobacco. Like, and it's marginal difference. It's within the fucking margin for error.
But
everything on him, and it's just like, okay, do we really believe that?
Fair enough.
When you look at the surveillance...
Okay. So, where he's coming from here is there was too much evidence. It's like, first of all, the stuff wasn't on him. That's kind of the point. Second of all, I haven't heard anyone say that they can match the gun that they found on him to the bullets that were fired. The video is no good. So it's like an orgy of circumstantial evidence that may or may not be anything.
Footage of the guy with thin eyebrows who looks middle-aged, and then you look at Luigi.
He looks middle-aged. You can't see his fucking face. I mean, that's the thing. You like can't see his
massive thick eyebrows. I'm not convinced he actually is the guy.
Fair enough, but Bill Burr didn't say free Luigi because he thinks that Luigi didn't.
Right, everyone's lying.
Well, wait. I mean, how do you know? I mean, you could have a number of reasons for wanting to free him, and you could have them coexisting simultaneously, as I do. Like, you could say you don't think he did it, but if he did do it, actually, the guy that he popped was, a mass murderer who made a huge amount of money finding ways to deny life-saving healthcare to people. And so you can kind of understand, and maybe it isn't a bad idea, maybe he shouldn't go to prison for the rest of his life for it or face, the feds are trying to bring in the death penalty. And it's like, yeah, so what? Fuck you.
Recognizing the guy because they think he did it.
Yeah, the point of Bill Burr's comment
was
Luigi Mangione did something, actually acted on his beliefs, and he went after the crooked CEO, Health United or whatever CEO, and murdered him. So he should be let go.
What's with this fucking roid rage, Abraham Lincoln aesthetic we got going on over here? Yeah, it's like every couple of years, Tim Pool will just, to give people like me whiplash who are streaming live, will come out and open his mouth and he will say something that makes actual sense. But it won't last. Like, his reason for why this makes sense, for why he has his doubts, it broke down pretty quickly, I thought.
Because he did a good thing. That's essentially the
he didn't say any of that, mind.
Bill Burr's saying. And
I've watched what he said. He didn't say any of this.
Whether it be terrorist attacks against Tesla dealerships, which is what they are.
No, it isn't. It's fucking vandalism. Call it terrorist attacks. How is it that's terrorist attacks? But when, the fucking Proud Boys show up with guns and other weapons, fucking bear pepper spray and stuff, to terrorize communities in the Pacific Northwest, then that's a peaceful protest. So having, and it's mostly protests. It's mostly just protests. There have been cases of stuff getting damaged, did'ems. And from this I learned, actually, that apparently these dealerships are not dealerships. When you buy a Tesla retail, the retailer is on Elon Musk's books. Every other fucking car dealer, every car manufacturer in the world has realized that's a bad idea. You want to sell the things wholesale and get them off your books before... Yeah, just in case anything happens, but he apparently decided he keeps them on his book, so any problems they have with saleability there...
The point is to terrify people, the point is to frighten people, and it's about politics because of his association with Donald Trump and with Doge. People saying things like free Luigi, whether it was the whole entire summer of riots over George Floyd, which proved to be...
And Breonna Taylor.
Over nothing. The total burning down of half of Kenosha over...
Half of Kenosha? Shut the fuck up. And it's worth noting, since we are talking about the 2020 uprising against racist police terror, that, is another example, apparently, of violence they're kind of cool with. It's nice of him to bring that up. But, the destruction of the 3rd Precinct in Minneapolis polled better than either candidate in the 2020 election, and polled better than either candidate in this one. And actually, just to update that, the D. Brian Thompsoning of United Healthcare, that actually polled better than either candidate in this election. Literally... If you actually look at, when you look at this stuff, it's when you talk amongst organized leftists, it doesn't even really matter the tendency, because I've experienced this talking to MLs, to Trotskyists, to anarchists, Maoists, Marxists, whoever. And there's this idea we gotta, sort of bring the class up to our level of struggle or something like that. And then a poll like that comes out, and it turns out actually we're underestimating the working class. We're underestimating just how pissed off they are and what they would consider acceptable under the right circumstances. We're like playing catch up, and that was 2022. That wasn't like organized, revolutionary left groups that were spearheading that, no matter what fucking Trump and like fucking Nazis said. That was just that was communities who had enough of this shit, and were going to make sure that somebody paid.
A misunderstood video or a BS narrative. The left is constantly violent. Constantly violent. It is the norm nowadays.
Really? Hey, that's so cute. I mean, they have they make excuses for the subway strangler for Kyle Shittentraus. I mean, he just said that Derek Chauvinist strangling fucking George Floyd to death on film, and then like his two henchmen physically preventing anyone from trying to save his life, that was nothing. But it's the left that's violent, you see. The left is violent because of our rhetoric.
Was it all just being directed in the 90s? Because I don't remember it until internet video. Now I can see it. Was it just happening overseas before? They were just directing all the vitriol towards our enemy, our common enemy?
If you look at the way...
What the hell is he even talking? I don't even understand what he's asking.
That if you look at the number of bombings in the 70s from leftist organizations like the Weather Underground, there were bombs going off all the time.
Not all the time.
Hundreds of bombings. I'm gonna take a look now.
I'm gonna take a look too, because I'm pretty sure that ain't true. I mean, and if we're gonna talk about bombings in that period, you do have to talk about the KKK. The far right, they were doing quite a lot of it. And you know who was doing more bombing than any of those motherfuckers? Was the U.S. government in Indochina. Number of bombings in U.S. 1970s. Okay. The total number of incidents... Wait, okay. Like, I mean, if you're going to talk about these things, it is, like, not just overwhelmingly, it is almost 100% far-right dudes, like, I mean, the people who are inspired by Pim Tool over here.
Well, I think we're entering that Weather Underground period with the Tesla attacks, and I think...
Wait, I mean, never mind the mass shootings, which are all fash. Never mind, like, the very, the sort of opportunistic terror attacks by cops. By, like, racist-ass cops who are just murdering black people because they can get away with it. Never mind any of that stuff.
I think this summer it's going to get real crazy.
I agree with that. And I feel like I kind of underestimated the amount of resistance because it's felt like for the...
Yeah, of course you underestimated the amount of resistance because you're on this show, and on this show you like to pretend that this stuff, that actually most people agree with you because that's kind of how you suck your audience into it.
This first month since Trump has been elected, there's been almost like a lack of resistance.
Just
in a certain way.
Between 1971 and 1972, the United States experienced more than 2,500 domestic bombings, according to FBI statistics. Wow. These are all from left-leaning groups.
No, they aren't. That is actually, from what I was seeing, that is the total number for the 1970s as a whole.
These are all radical leftists. These are all the leftovers.
Well, if there are, why don't you surely they have a breakdown of who did these attacks. So why didn't you show us that?
Of the Summer of Love in the '60s, the anti-capitalist movements that were born in the '60s, the communist movements.
Yeah, because see, nobody did communism before the '60s. So the communism is the product of weed and Pink Floyd songs
that were born in the '60s, and this is just in 1 year, 2,500. Additionally, during the 1970s, nearly a dozen radical underground groups, including the Weather Underground, the New World Liberation Front, and the Symbionese Liberation Army, set off hundreds of bombs. So, the idea that
wait, okay, so that does not make sense if we're saying. Like, that does not seem to suggest that the way he's been reading that first bit is in fact accurate.
That the left is...
And leaving aside that the FBI is not a great source on these things, on attribution, because the FBI, through COINTELPRO, was controlling a lot of groups.
Actually looking for peace and whatnot. That's all BS. And we had a leftist on here the other couple weeks ago or whatever, saying that it's the right wing that is the dangerous one and stuff.
Well, yeah, because the right wing is the dangerous. Well, you're the motherfuckers who are going around killing people. You're the ones who own most of the guns. Like, most of the guns that are in private hands are owned by like fucking right wing white fucks. And like, I mean, and when you include the cops in there, which you should, because like, I mean, that is like the only union-esque organizations that get to democratically choose who to endorse in presidential elections, and they're the only ones who democratically choose Trump.
Hundreds of bombings. 2,500 in 1 year, and then additionally hundreds of other...
Now, how many attempted murders were done by your audience at the various neo-Nazi rallies of the past decade? Because by my count, it averaged at least 1 or 2 attempted murders of counter-demonstrators each time.
Bombings throughout the course of the 70s. But yet, that doesn't actually compute. There was a bombing of Congress. There was a bomb that went off in Congress. And Bill Clinton let the people out free.
I think there might have been a small difference, though, is that nowadays these people hate the
somebody
idea
knocked
of
that
America.
fucking thing off his head.
And have been segregated into kind of their own groups, and they
Yeah, well, yeah, because there was no I mean, if there's one thing back in the good old days in the U.S., there's one thing that there wasn't. It's segregation. There was no segregation back in the 1960s, 1970s. Never heard of it.
They're not actually going in this with a goal in mind, apart from maybe like a thumbnail view of communism where everything's just bunnies and flowers. But they're literally...
Well, I mean, if there are no bunnies and flowers, then it's not my communism, I guess.
Just driven by hatred and division.
Well, hatred of what, though? That's the thing. Like, you think your guys aren't driven by hatred? You're sitting here, like, inciting hatred every fucking day. Like, I mean, there's a big difference between, say, hating a system that perpetuates poverty, misery, racism, and war, and, say, hating people because they're trans.
They hate the idea of this country, and they want to burn it to the ground, so hopefully they can come out on top and rule over the ashes. But...
It's something that Nazis would never do.
I mean, that idea that a lot of the groups back then at least had the idea that they liked this country.
I wonder...
No, wait, I mean... What do you mean, liked this country? Because I don't think the Black Panthers were actually all that keen on the US of A, actually. I think a lot of the groups that they're talking about probably were not particularly keen on the regime as a whole.
About funding, because, like, USAID shut down. Where are all those people now? What are they doing? Are they involved with this? Because, like, in the early 70s, you're saying 70, 71, 2,500 bombings. Nixon, was he the president at that point? I think it was Nixon.
Yeah.
And apparently Nixon, I always thought Nixon, horrible guy, he resigned. He was
I mean, he is a horrible guy, Moonlord. Thank you for remembering.
He was going to get impeached. Turns out maybe not. Maybe Nixon was going to blow the lid on who killed Kennedy, and they...
Wow, that totally makes up for, like, the millions of people he murdered in Indochina and The coup that he caused in Chile. I mean, if he was gonna talk about the Kennedy assassination, which is bullshit, no, he wasn't.
Wanted him out, and they framed him, and they there was money behind the scenes to disrupt the powers that be at the
Didn't
time.
Bill Murray just say Nixon was framed?
He was talking about it on
Rogan.
Yeah.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
He said Nixon was framed.
Like, framed for what, though? Because it's like, Watergate was the least of what he did. Watergate was mostly pissing off powerful people. The shit that, I mean, the COINTELPRO broke at the exact same time, and that affected millions of just ordinary working class people, and has never gotten the same level of attention.
And I mean, just looking at everything that kind of happens now, would that surprise you in any way, shape, or form?
No, it would not surprise me, and therefore it must have happened exactly like that, and I am not going to bother to check anything.
I mean, they tried framing Trump.
Yeah.
When who tried framing Trump for what? Like, why would you even need to frame Trump? He does not make it exactly hard to come up with illegal things he's done. He's kind of open about it. Like, he just decided to use federal government property to do a fucking car ad in the past couple of days. The world's worst car ad as well. I mean, I don't think... you know, if there was one thing that would totally revitalize a flagging e-vehicle brand, it's having the T in their logo stand for Trumpmobile. I mean, that's totally gonna put out the fire right there. Everybody's gonna want to drive something that immediately identifies them with Trump.
It wouldn't now. No, if Nixon was trying to push back against the liberal economic order at the time, which he very well might have been.
Wow, which he very well might have been. We could, you know, why? We very well might have been. You know what we can do? What's really neat that you can do with people whose administrations were decades ago? You can go back and you can look what their fucking economic policies were. Actually. You can go back and actually look at what they did rather than just sitting here, coming up with your fucking world building. And the thing is, actually, if you do that, what you find is that Nixon was the last U.S. president to spend more money on, like, social welfare and, like, programs that benefited the working class than he did on war. Every single president since then has had that ratio completely reversed. It's always, you know, everyone since Nixon has spent way more on war than they have on any kind of social betterment. So, yeah, I mean, but no, you go ahead. You got some neat world building there, fucking Dungeon Master.
Remember the Bulls in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
They were like the best basketball team ever.
Oh, how the fuck did we get on the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s?
Pippen, Jordan.
It was just like
Chamberlain.
How many people could you name on one team at one time that were massive?
Aston, yeah, I love that. I played a lot of Lakers versus Celtics.
Wait, what the hell? Now, wait, okay, so fucking Moonlord was having his, like, incoherent moment where he's like, you know, I bet if Nixon had, like, totally been trying to go against the whole liberal economic order, man, then he would have been probably trying to tell us who really killed Kennedy, dude. And that's probably why they framed him, man. And Tim Pool's like, hey, you remember Scottie Pippen? He was really good at the basketballs.
The Bulls have that now?
I don't know.
No, definitely.
Why? What the fuck?
Really not. The cultural ubiquity of the Bulls in the 90s was crazy.
I mean, that's true, but why the fuck are we talking about this? This is completely out of no... Chad, did you have this on your bingo card? I mean, I don't mean in the form of Tim Pool gives everybody fucking soft tissue damage in the C-spine with a change of subject that is totally unheralded. I mean... that a video about unaliving Elon Musk and violent rhetoric, increasing civil war. would end up talking about the 1990 Chicago Bulls.
Was crazy.
Space Jam.
So I'm saying,
Grant
when it comes
Space
to
Jam.
Nixon, when it comes to Nixon,
Like like fucking Moonlord is just now just listing random things related to basketball. Wilt Chamberlain, Space Jam.
you've got effectively in the CIA the Bulls of the 90s.
Wait, what? Is he saying what? Is he saying fucking Scottie Pippen's in the CIA now?
And with Trump, you have the Bulls now.
Wait, okay. Okay, so this is him attempting an analogy. And so what he's saying is the CIA is good at stuff and Trump isn't? Like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? I mean, I agree Trump is not good at stuff, and the CIA probably kinda is. Although, I don't know if you caught this, chat. Doge accidentally outed a CIA clandestine concentration camp recently because it was listed, the site description included the word black, and so they assumed that it's where the CIA goes to do wokeness.
Oh yeah,
And so they fucking burned one of the concentration camps that we were not supposed to know existed.
So back
hundredth
then,
of what it was.
These guys were the dream team of coups, and they could pull it off on Nixon.
They didn't pull off a coup on Nixon. They were trying to pull one off for Nixon.
And Kennedy, maybe.
Kennedy had some of the best relations with the CIA of any U.S. president ever. Especially because his CIA director, it was just all, I mean, if they weren't relatives, they were all from the same fucking school time milieu. Where it was like, all just a bunch of fucking golf buddies, all New England intellectuals, and then there was fucking Lyndon Johnson, who is the reason we have a recording in the National Archives of a sitting U.S. president using the word bunghole repeatedly. He didn't completely fit in to the rarefied air of the Kennedy White House.
And with Donald Trump, you got like a ragtag bunch. The brand is there, but the talent isn't. And they
wait. So he's saying that Trump and his people are talentless? I mean, I agree. They're not. They are. But I'm surprised to hear him saying this.
They could make it work.
It's like the sons of Michael Jordan's son and Pippen's son. You're like, dude, they never even practice basketball. He's like, yeah, but he's my son, so he's the one in charge.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that basketball doesn't work like that. There's a reason that Nepo does not work on the fucking basketball court. Because
he's the one that gets the part.
I don't even think they're the sons. I think they're DEI hires.
Yeah, they're not.
Wait. Who's DEI hires now? With the 1990 Chicago Bulls? Or Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump a fucking... What the hell? Like, I need a diagram, chat. Give me a diagram. Who the hell is he even talking about here? Is he saying that the Chicago Bulls are DEI hires? Or is he saying that Donald Trump is a DEI hire? Like, what does that even mean at this point in this discourse?
It'd be really funny if the reason why the CIA was unable to stop Trump is because they enacted DEI and hired a bunch of incompetent people. What happened? How come the coup didn't work? Well, we hired a bunch of people based on race and gender instead of their ability.
Yeah, because, I mean, that never happened before the Civil Rights Act, which is what DEI is. It's just civil rights compliance. It's literally just compliance with federal law. I mean, the CEI for the longest time hired people because they were white dudes who went to the right schools.
But to stage coups, so we couldn't do it.
Because I imagine they don't do that at the top. They don't care about race and gender at the people.
They don't care about race and gender at the top, which is why it's all a bunch of fucking white dudes.
Owners.
I bet they do.
You think they sit around there like
Jack Dorsey? Jack Dorsey was like, Twitter is the free speech wing of the free speech party, and he ran the show. And then in a couple of years, he was like, we should ban people forsake the rug protests.
Well, yes, because Jack Dorsey, who, it's worth noting, Jack Dorsey's fash. Jack Dorsey is fash. I mean, if you looked at his follows back in the day, he was following all the top Nazis. But the thing is, he also was trying to keep the advertisers sweet, and the advertisers did not want to have their brands appear alongside fucking swastika emojis.
It's like, how does that happen to you? You run it. It's because they plug the garbage into their own brain.
You said, what did he say? I couldn't understand what you were
We should ban people for saying the wrong pronouns.
But I mean, at the top, like, I keep thinking about Swiss bankers, and like,
okay, we're talking about Swiss bankers now. We were talking about the Chicago Bulls a second ago for no fucking reason.
There's no difference, though.
That's
There's
not
no
the-
difference.
Yeah, I mean, the fucking Twitter, Swiss banks, the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, I mean, they're interchangeable, really.
There's a tweet that's going around. It's from...
Oh, wait. Somehow that... I bumped something.
Meaningless if there's no enforcement.
Or censuring congressmen. It's just...
Why do we keep seeing these great battles over certain bills?
Get this. How did we get to this point where they're arguing now for genital mutilation of
we have to create, you're not going to marry the hottest girl, you're going to marry people. King of Saudi Arabia, he doesn't have to appoint DEI. He would.
And what you experience, like in drama workplace, or I've gone through a couple stages in my life.
He ran the show, and then within a couple of years, he was like, we should ban people for saying the wrong pronouns.
Okay, yeah, I bumped something on my keyboard, and the result of it is that we ended up getting jettisoned to the very beginning. But it is time for me to start wrapping up. Let me just see. Let me just see what we've got here. 0 drop frames in this entire stream. 0 drop frames. Just by way of comparison, this afternoon it was 98.8% drop frames. So, very good news. I think the problem has been sorted. It is time to wrap up for tonight, but I will be back tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time for the Hyperpolyglotting stream, and 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time for the Last JabroniCon over here on the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. Thanks to everyone who joined in, and thank you for bearing with me while I tried to figure out what the hell was going on with my connection. Have a good night. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.